And joining us now to talk about this is well-known consumer advocate Jamie Court. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So when you take a look at what the justices will hear this week, what is your take? What will it mean for those of us who say, well, quite a few people who say that it's been good for 2 years, the Obamacare?
Well, we've had the beginnings of what's going on for people. So you get to keep your kids on your health insurance longer. You get to have no lifetime maximums on your policy. But the real stuff takes place in 2014. That's when you get some real good consumer protections, like health insurers have to sell you policies regardless of whether you had a pre-existing condition, and they can't charge you based on your medical condition. The flip side of that is we all have to buy health insurance or we get taxed.
And so that's the issue.
That's,
right?
That's the main issue.
Individual mandate.
And that's what they're looking at. Is it legal for the government to tell you that to buy a private product? Because health insurance is a private product. We know that they can, the government can say you have to participate in a government program, but can they make you buy something that for a family of four costs literally $12,000 a year? And in California, we don't have any regulation of health insurance rates, and a lot of states don't. So what we're looking at here is a decision that could be very narrow. Look, health insurance can't be mandatory, or it could be very broad. The mandate's going to go away, and all these other, many of these other consumer protections that people say are linked to the mandate. That if you can't force people to buy health insurance, you can't force health insurance companies to sell it to everybody. That could go away, or the court could just say, look, this is permissible. When you go to the emergency room, we all have to pay for that. Everybody pays for health insurance, pays for people who go to the emergency room and are uninsured. That's wrong, and as a society, we're going to say everyone has to buy this product.
I've read before that in the Massachusetts healthcare, universal healthcare, that no one was mandated to buy the health insurance, so that they would actually be in the ambulance signing papers and signing up. And the Affordable Health Care Act was meant to kind of avoid that, make people upfront buy something to get you through it.
Yeah, in Massachusetts, they started with a pretty low uninsurance rate. It was under 10%. In California, we have a very high uninsured rate, and it's largely because health insurance is so expensive. In fact, I'm one of a group of consumer advocates that's collecting signatures now to regulate health insurance rates for a ballot measure in November at justifyrates.org, because we know the price is so high. Massachusetts had a little different situation, but here's a very common thread. In Massachusetts, you have to buy health insurance. Health insurance companies have to sell it to you. All this took effect before federal reform. They also have a system where health insurers can't raise rates without getting permission from the government to do it. So they have regulation, they have the mandate, and rates are still very high, but they have a very low uninsurance rate, lower than where they started. So it's not cheap, but it works.
I don't know that any of this makes anyone feel better, at least the critics of the Affordable Care Act.
Well, I think the critics are saying, look, we can't afford, insurance, and the government's going to say, you got to buy it. And look, in 2007, during the presidential primary, I wrote an op-ed with a Loyola law professor saying, I'm not sure this is constitutional. I'm not sure the mandate is constitutional. I don't think it's right to force people to buy health insurance unless you can make it affordable. However, the question now for people is,
well, unless you can make it affordable, that's really not the issue, is it?
It's not the issue.
It's whether you're forcing them or not forcing them.
Well,
the
the question is, if there's a compelling state interest, this is the legal term, in getting everybody insured, is it reasonable? Can people reasonably afford, with the subsidies, there's some generous subsidies, with the other types of provisions for low-income people to get coverage, is it reasonable to say everyone should have to buy something that's clearly in our societal interest for everybody to have? The key piece here, really, though, is whether or not the government's going to make sure that what that product is reasonably priced. And when you have health insurance CEOs making tens of millions of dollars a year, when you see that we don't know where our premium dollar really goes, it's hard to make the case that everyone should have it. So in Massachusetts and New York, they've taken these steps to regulate health insurance premiums. 35 states have that. California has tried for 12 years in the legislature to get premiums that are regulated, where there is a government entity, the insurance commissioner, saying no to high rates, excessive rates. We haven't gotten that. So I think this is all going to be in the court's mind, and they have to take care of everybody in America. So there is a chance. There is one chance that they punt. That's the thing we haven't talked about. There is something called the Anti-Injunction Act, which says until someone pays a tax, it can't be considered unconstitutional.
That's actually the first issue that they hear tomorrow.
And the question is, if they are political and they are smart, maybe they'll say, we're going to wait till 2015 and someone pays a tax and see what the health insurance system looks like then and see if it's reasonable or not.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much. We have much more to talk about.
Everybody's watching this.
Thanks a lot.
We'll see you at 11 o'clock.